Welcome back. I'm MTG Joe. Today we're going to be continuing our series on the uh, budget guides. So basically in this series we take ultra budget version of a deck, so basically all uncommons. From there what we do is we update to like a mid-budget, so like 10-ish rares or mythics, and then we'll build a completely as tier 1 deck as we can, ultra competitive, no budget version. So this was the original ultra budget version for green-white proliferate. So we played this a couple days ago on stream. You can catch the full playback, but basically everything in the deck here was uncommon or common or free card that you get in the starter packs like Path of Discovery. Other than the dual lands, I'm missing a couple Sunpetal Groves. For all these series, I always play the dual lands just to be consistent, especially for the demo. So the theme of the deck is basically getting 1/1 counters on things and making a really big army, and then using the mechanic called Proliferate, which adds an additional counter in each case. Um, so what we're going to do today is build the mid-budget version. So for those of you watching on live today, the updated deck list I'll post at the end. I want to try out a couple things. But the goal here is we're probably going to go about 10-ish rares or mythics, give or take. So a couple of the cards that I want to put in, and I wanted to include this as part of the deck building series, so you can kind of see my thought process. And then if there's anything you kind of disagree with afterwards, we can always have a conversation after, either on the Reddit thread or on the Twitch. So one thing I want to update right off the bat is getting rid of these Ixalan's Diviners and put in Merfolk Branchwalker. Where are you? So this is guaranteed power, gets a lot bigger. So we want to get rid of those. I want to get rid of Zhangzhou and the Pledge of Unity and add in Ajani. So I want to add in 2 of these Ajanis and 2 of these Ajanis. I'm going to get rid of the Path of Discovery now because it's a little higher on the curve. So other cards we want with the 1/1. So right now we're at, we added 6 rares and 2 mythics, so 8. So there's a couple options we can go. We can go Growth Chamber Guardian. So Growth Chamber Guardian is basically a way for us to keep getting more tokens, or sorry, more creatures. That gets bigger, puts tokens on itself. So that's one way to go about it. We can go with that. So we can also go with Shalai, which protects our stuff and is kind of a top end threat. We can look at something like that. So maybe cut these, go to Shalai. So that takes us to 2, 6, 8, 10. And then we can go to 14 and then just get the Growth Chamber Guardians. There's also Knight of Autumn. So one of the problems, unfortunately, with green-white is a lot of the good cards are at rare. So we're not going to get like the full suite of good cards in this. So let's see with that. So if we get, I think we just go Growth Chamber. And maybe move the Adanto Vanguards into the sideboard. Cut down Golgari Raiders, a Crushing Canopy, and a Vraska. Bring in Adanto against like the aggressive, or sorry, like the heavy removal decks. We'll try it out like that. So here we're at 8, 10, 12, 14. Not a crazy amount, I think. Based on the colors, I think we have to kind of go like this. Growth Chamber works well in multiples, so you kind of lose some value. Militia Bugler is still kind of the engine. Pollenbright's in here as well. So we're just going to type in counters, see what else comes up. Pelt Collector is another way we could put counters on things. Sorry, just have to take a drink of water. This is too much mana. This is another way we could put counters on it, but not the best. Enters the battlefield with X counters on it. Could be an interesting. But we have the Proliferate with some of these other effects. Do we want to maybe cut down one and go Huatli Raptor instead? What do you do? When it enters the battlefield with 3/1 too high on the mana curve. That needs colors. So Ugin's Conjure is something we could consider. I think I like this version. The Field of Ruins is a way that we can... Oh, with this version here, we're going to have to add a couple more lands. Our curve's higher. So go up to white sources, because we were stuck on white lands. I'm actually going to add in one of the Guildgate. I'm missing one of the duels, so you should probably play Sunpetal Groves instead, but I don't want to spend rare well cards on it right now. So Militia Bugler will come down. Actually, I'll go up 3 Buglers, cut down a Pollenbright Druid. Go like that. I don't play green-white a lot, so bear in mind this isn't my preferred strategy, where I'm just trying to go through the full color series. So I think we'll get started then. We'll try this version out, see how it goes. So with all of these, I play a couple games of best of 3 first, see how the deck fares, and then I'll take the deck into the best of 1 queue towards the end of the stream, just so you can get a feel to see how it plays in comparison to some of the other decks. So we'll get started. So for those of you who are new to the stream, I'm MTG Joe. We put out videos about 4 to 7 times a week on YouTube. We'll occasionally go live on YouTube as well, like today. Anything we play you can catch live on the replay. If you haven't done so already, subscribing is a free and easy way to support the channel. It goes a long way to helping to build. And if you're feeling a little bit more generous, there'll be a Patreon link in the comment below. Any contribution is greatly appreciated just to help keeping the stream going. So this hand here is a little awkward. We don't have a way to put counters on Wildgrowth yet. Huatli Raptors aren't as good without the Vigilance. But I think maybe we just give it a shot. Okay, so another land. At least that guarantees Bugler, so we can hold them a little bit longer. So this could be Grixis, or this can be the... I don't know what this is. It's an odd card to see. It could be a Kefnet build that they're just playing that. Seems kind of expensive to draw to. Okay, so here we're gonna Militia Bugler, hopefully find something with Explore. Perfect. So next turn we can Explore and then Huatli's Raptor, hopefully get counters on Branchwalker and Wildgrowth. No sense of attacking here, because they might have Moment of Craving in the deck, so that's a way they can get rid of Wildgrowth Walker. No attacks. Just play defense. Okay. So we don't have a clean answer. But we can exile like this. This gives us a couple turns to set up. And then next turn we can start smashing in. So they thought erasure, they'll get rid of one of them. Kind of unfortunate. We were hoping to get those going. Oh, double thought erasure, it's rough. Okay, so it's still a pretty solid draw. So here we're just gonna smash in with both. Next turn, these will get bigger than the Kefnets. So if they can't kill the Sage, then any land drop is a pump spell. So this is actually pretty sweet here. So we adapt it, get the growth chamber, and then get another growth chamber. So they could double block, but I don't really care. We're just smashing in for quite a bit here. So get that off the board. So it's a free pretty much attack. They can double scry if they want, but they don't. Oh, they do. It's actually pretty good value. 1 mana, draw two, scry 2, draw 2. Better than the 4 mana, scry 4, draw 2. So in this matchup, we're likely going to want to bring in probably Kraul Harpooner. Opponent looks like they're going to concede. Alright, so against this matchup, we probably want the Prison Realms. Do we want the Prison Realms? I'm trying to remember. They just play pretty much remove. Oh, opponent's just going to concede. We'll take it. So that felt pretty solid. We're going to run it back some more. Okay, so we'll see what they come out with. This hand's a little bit slower. We'll try again. This is still the experimenting. So we can Pollenbright. Put a counter on it. My guess is they take the Ajani here. So opponent is playing Pimped Out Grixis in the unranked queue. Let's see what they take here. So that tells me they have a Nicol Bolas most likely, or a Thief of Sanity. Let's put a counter on it. So they play Campaign. I think we get rid of Sage. So here, I think we just graveyard that and graveyard that. This is fine too, because if we get the other Ajani, we can start bringing some of those creatures back. So they have the Bolus here. Probably Huatli Raptor. Okay, so Field of Ruin. Let's see if they block. They don't. What's a Johnny's loyalty start at? I think we set up one more turn with Jadelight. Oh, with the rituals really rough. So I'm just gonna get rid of Nicol Bolas here. Usually don't see ritual out of them. Okay, so they've seen Ajani, but we'll get this one going.
I will teach you humility. I must. Now do you see the benefits of peace?
So we need some creatures. Wow. Doesn't matter how much money you spend foiling out your deck. So what's with people conceding against us? Alright guys, we broke the meta. Mid-budget green-white tokens takes down the most powerful of decks. Opponent doesn't want to play against a life gain each turn. So if you want to see how it does in best of one, just watch those last few games. Keep this hand, Wildgrowth. Into Pollenbright. So playing Guitar Guy. See what's there on Treasure Map. Could be the Tezzeret deck. That was a great draw. I'm actually gonna graveyard this. I want to try to find another land so I can Pollenbright next turn. And Huatli's Raptor. So they're digging, they might need a land. Esper. Punished. Huatli Raptor is the biggest clock. So they have the Moment of Craving. So we need to be mindful too if they are playing something like Kaya's Wrath, most likely. I don't want to overcommit to the board. I might actually just Conclave Tribunal this treasure map next turn, take him off some mana. Prison Realm. So here, so let's see, we can play this and we can still Conclave Tribunal, or just play this, which maybe we just do that. I want to play this when I can adapt it on the same turn. Diversify my threats. So the reason we're doing this is it keeps him off both mana and card draw. So the reason, Nathan, why we're playing Conclave Tribunal here is because in this instance here we can convoke it out. So we can play creatures out. Ajani gives Vigilance so we can attack as well. We play Prison Realms in the sideboard as additional exile. So here we can play out both. I usually like Conclave Tribunals more so in creature-based builds because you can at times cast them for free. So Pollenbright triggers our Growth Chamber to draw us a card. Opponent's shown pretty much just removal at this point. We haven't seen anything like a Teferi. They are at 11 life as well. So even if they play something like Baby Teferi, okay, another Prison Realm. So we have Tribunal if we need it. Play out the Shalai here, puts on a good clock.
I know my responsibility. I've got time.
And they play Treasure Map. Okay, so that's good. Kill Teferi. I'm doing this now so they can't respond and kill it. I just want to try to get card advantage going, and then we present a 2-turn. Yeah, Nathan, we're playing Exile Enchantment Tribal. We can also use this in a pinch if we need to exile one of these, same way.
Let's slow this down.
So they're gonna bounce.
I have a plan.
Again, we'll just kill it.
Only time will tell.
I'm just gonna do this. This turn I kind of want to force them to use their mana. I think we have one Growth Chamber left. Smothering Tithe. You, sir, are playing an interesting deck. We'll adapt here. Get the last one. We'll decline here. So here. So this might be like the Narset combo where they make us like discard our hand. So we need to decide. So we can play out Growth Chambers and then Conclave Tribunal something, which I don't think is the right play. Shalai protects our board. And then can just threaten on its own. So because they did that, I want to threaten lethal next turn. So I'll play out a Growth Chamber. We hadn't seen counters up to this point. Even if they play like a Karn here with the artifacts, we'll just exile. Deputy. So here we need to decide how we want to proceed with this turn. So we could Conclave Tribunal. Let's Merfolk Branchwalker because it's basically free. Get rid of the deputy. Poke them for one and say go. So they do have a couple card draws going. They can Treasure Cove off this. We're obviously weak to Sweeper here. But we do present lethal. Cryocarnarium. That is rough. And the absorb. So we are falling behind now. This engine going is pretty bad. So we also obviously want Crushing Canopies out of the sideboard. Kind of want to see what their win condition is. So Obnixilus is pretty sweet. Field of Ruin's pretty good for us here because we can Treasure Cove them. Get rid of their Treasure Cove to draw the cards. So opponent's on a sweet deck. This kind of turns off Ajani's effective. Okay, so we see how they win.
Try not to think it is nothing. Try not. It is just a small headache.
Sacrifice 10 non-land permanents, so they're just going to go from there. I don't think we can win from this. With Wildgrowth and the Jadelights, maybe. They got this one. Alright, so now that we know what we're playing against, the Binding's good, the Prison Realms are good, the Vanguards are good because they've shown a lot of removal. Pollenbright Druid is slow. Huatli Raptor, probably Evolution Sage is kind of weak in this matchup. Shalai is probably also a little slow. Mind you, they've shown Cryocarnarium. So Shalai's probably better. Maybe just go down. This gets around Cry. This is card advantage. Let's just try to go low to the ground and aggressive. Champion wits, so I don't think Selesnya is like a tier 1 deck, but I'm doing this as part of a build series where for each color pair we do like super budget, mid budget, and non-budget. So I've done for like Golgari and most of the other decks, so I'm just getting through to Selesnya. Selesnya is actually my least favorite color. So it's not something I actively play in tier. But there are a lot of people who like the Selesnya color pairing, so wanted to give equal distribution to all of them. We won our first 2 matches. We bet Grixis, and I forget what the first match was. This one we were doing alright, but between 3 board wipes, it's a little hard for us to recover. Okay, so we really need a force next turn. Not the best, not the worst. So we're good for their planeswalkers. And that is not the land we wanted. So this is not as good as Conclave Tribunal right now. Our pressure isn't the highest. So they'll resolve here. Oy, 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 oy. Why are we missing a color? I think we lost this game. In this matchup, we need to pressure the board fast enough. Okay. See what Bugler gets us. Another Adanto. So it gives us something to play next turn, at least. Them flipping the map's pretty bad.
Sorry I'm late. I've got it.
I. This is just being mana efficient. We're gonna have to discard anyways. Discard 2. I probably should got rid of Jadelight. If we don't draw a line next turn, I'm just gonna call it quits. They're quite far ahead at this point.
Here goes nothing.
Yeah, we are super far behind. It's funny how we're like, let's just play 1 Guildgate. What's the worst that can happen? Why do we need to play rare lands? It's exactly why. I don't like Selesnya enough to spend on the Sunpetals with them rotating in the fall. Let's run it back for 1 more. I think I have like all the other rare dual land pairs crafted thus far. Missing like 1 Dragon Skull, but Alrighty. That was the matchup we wanted, Knight of Autumn. I'm pretty much going to keep any hand that goes Wildgrowth until Merfolk Branchwalker or Jadelight Ranger. It's good against everything. Oh man, today is just, do you want to play Dimir based decks all day, every day? Grixis me. Just gonna be mana efficient here. Wildgrowth Walker, probably yes. So here it's a little awkward because I want to hit a land drop, so I'm gonna go Merfolk Branchwalker first. We don't get the Explore. Maybe. I think this is the Covert Blue deck. It was like a Grixis aggro deck, so they play like a bunch of burn early. It's just Grixis aggro. Alrighty, so we are just never gonna hit. So here we can play this and then tap out, but then the Dreadhorde Butcher gets bigger. We need to get rid of Thief. Thief wins the game. Pollenbright doesn't really do much. Mocks us. Let's get a little aggressive. It's fine. Opponent's also missing land drops. Hey, get there. Next turn we Ajani. Evolution Sage doesn't really do much right now, so I want to get Ajani going. Okay. So we can get this back next turn, get the Wildgrowth Walker back next turn, which is really sweet.
Do not have to fight alone.
This adapts it for us, so we get another one. Okay, Tyrant Scorn.
You are capable of more than you assume.
Here, let's just smash in like that. They can get rid of our Branchwalker if they want. So now, if we draw land, we'll play out one of these. Cool. Yeah. Opponent sees the writing on the wall there. So this is an aggro matchup. We'll want... Vraska seems pretty sweet. No, probably just Prison Realms. Do we want Harpooner? They showed Wildgrowth Walker. Probably do the Harpooners instead of the Pollenbright Druids. Probably shave down a couple Sage. And do we want the Growth Chamber Guardians in, or do I just want the Vraskas? A lot of what Growth Chamber does gets diminished in this matchup. They have a lot of cheap removal that's not like damage base. Vraska can make Death Touch tokens to deal with some of their stuff, and then thread in their Planeswalkers if they're playing like Nicol Bolas and stuff. Do we just want to go one binding as well? Let's go one binding. It's a good catch-all card. Plus it's Grixis, so if we stick on an enchantment, they're not doing anything with it. Yeah, we'll keep it. Generally against Grixis-based decks, they're a Thought Racier, so you don't want to actively discard playable hands. At the very worst, we can play 3 spells before drawing our next mana. At this point, this is a bait spell if they use removal now. Okay, so they have Thief. Here, I'm just gonna Kraul Harpooner. Yeah. Prison Realm has a little bit more utility. Ooh, we can just like always shut them off. Nah, I just think because I want to set up my scry. Yeah, we'll keep the Branchwalker. So we've effectively answered. They mulled and answered their threats. They've drawn a lot of lands. They'll take the binding most likely is my guess. Yeah. Seems reasonable. Another Thief of Sanity. Like we're gonna keep it on top. We got a pretty hefty board. And Militia Bugler just serves as more card room. Like this gets around Cryocarnarium. At the worst they just get a Jadelight Ranger.
I'm good at one. I'm running out of room to store my trophies.
So, okay, that's actually really good. Here, so I'm actually going to be okay, so I just need to get that off, but if they want to protect their life total and get rid of the Wildgrowth Walker, they got to go this route. The rest of these abilities aren't relevant. And then this draws us another card. Or not. Really could have used that Kraul Harpooner. Pretty aggressive line by the opponent. Not bad. They get to proliferate this, make a token, and kill it.
deserve whatever I feel suits them.
The 2/3's also somewhat relevant. Nah. That was a fantastic draw. Bye, Bolus. So we're just gonna have to get in for chip damage. We're pretty far ahead thanks to a lot of those wild growth, but we're not really at a threat of milling out, but our opponent's getting our best card each turn. Like even now that they took the they decided not to take Conclave Tribunal to get another thief back. Or they hit both our Conclave Tribunals. So that's a bit unfortunate. Wild growth isn't going to do too much in this circumstance. Honestly, we gotta get him dead as quick as possible. Let's see, we got Branchwalker, Jadelight, so we still have a few explore hits. Also quite...
Now do you see the benefits of peace?
So Prison Realm's probably the right play. So Ajani gives him life. Yeah, we probably gotta do it on Ajani.
Brings perspective. I shall return.
This way we get in 2 points of damage. Nothing dies on our end, but we poke through for 2. It's really just a race. Oh, they hit both the Johnnies.
We could be much
Yeah. That's how we lose. Alright, so... do we want Crushing Canopy instead of the Sage? Like, we just really need to get rid of... They had some crazy hits off us. Like, that Vraska came up big. Keep that. Have a Harpooner when we need it. Trying the second Shalai is not that good. Really want to hit a land here. Bye. Let's just put you in the graveyard. You, graveyard, go. Oh, they took a Shalai. That very much seems like the wrong choice. Just gonna end the turn here. Well, by that logic, they're taking the other Shalai. Oh, they took a Ajani. That one's the right one. Oh, come on. I want to save the Kraul Harpooner as removal. Like any land and Bugler starts going off. Or Jadelight. Don't think Shalai's gonna do anything. This is why it's odd they didn't take the Harpooner in the first game, like the first Thought Erasure. Give us a land. All I want is a land. Can't do anything there. opponent's punishing us for the lack of lands we were drawing. Okay, so I'm gonna attack in first. I should have graveyarded that. Bye, Bugler. See if they hold back Kefnet. Hey, it's something. Give us a couple turns. Hey, it's a land! We're getting there. What feels like 37 turns later. After all that, we're still kind of ahead. Like, I don't really care if they've already used 3 Thought Erasures. Sir, you're not supposed to do that, sir. I, for one, am not pleased with... Okay, Big Daddy Bolus. We're gonna probably pack this one in. Yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and concede. It turns out drawing no lands for 7 turns against a deck that has a lot of discard is not the way to win. So we're gonna go and play 1 best of 1 as promised, and then I am gonna go eat pizza. Got NBA Finals. My Raptors are in it, so gotta catch that game. This hand's a little awkward because we can't really catch anything. We'll keep this. Perfect. I want to guarantee the white source. Elf can be a couple things. So here I'm just gonna Branchwalker. I'm gonna graveyard this at this point. Alright. Opponent's on a similar plan. I'm just going to attack. If they want to double block, I'm fine with it, but they won't. And then just play Evolution Sage. Ajani.
I understand you are in need of support. See in yourself what I see in you.
So no blocks here. It's pretty aggressive on their part. So let's see, we can shock ourselves. So here, I'm actually just gonna do this now, because it lets us kill this with 1 attacker.
Go on without me.
This also makes, so if we draw land, we can adapt. Actually, we can't, because we want to hit the field. We can adapt it.
Honor and courage.
Opponent's on a very similar plan to us. It's kind of unfortunate when you draw the Wildgrowth out of order.
Light shall always conquer darkness.
It's a pretty hefty elf. And it gives it vigilance. I'm going to... So we have an option to do this, but I think we just do no blocks. Okay, cool. So we adapt that, get a growth chamber, play out the land, make those pretty big, get another growth chamber. So here, just gonna take the turn to, if they want to protect they can, if not, that just dies. So really I just want to draw lands. We can actually... it's unfortunate they had another one.
Greater endeavor. Turn back while you still can.
So I'll probably block the elf at this point. Double block as such. They can't kill both anyways. Okay, so you get pretty big here, so we can do that. We can adapt it. Get growth chamber. Okay. Couldn't remember if we had any more. And here, I'm just going face at this point. So we're gonna do this. So they can take the free block on this, but then they take a lot of damage. So it's really on them to decide how they want to. That's fine. I'll get all that damage. Because we have the Field of Ruin, which will trigger a land drop, and because they're playing some non-basics, it's useful. So we pretty much have them there. Optimistic Otter. We'll see how optimistic you are. You know what? I'm just gonna play it safe. There's that 1 mana like pump and untap nonsense that I really don't want to deal with. Just go for this, sure. Like, we did such a good job building our board. They block there. And we got him. Alright, folks. So I'm going to wrap it up for that. It's about an hour on the deck. We'll come back hopefully tomorrow with the non-budget version. and then I'll do my full Reddit write-up afterwards, so you can catch that sometime this weekend on the Arena subreddit. So I'll detail all 3 versions of the deck. If you've enjoyed the content and you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Free and easy way to show your support. And as always, if you're feeling a little bit more generous, we do have the Patreon that's up right now. Patreon for MTG_Joe. Thanks for those who tuned in live, and catch you on the next one.